I'm aspiring to represent the people's interest. And I can aspire to do that if I'm taking money from the one industry that is making my community sick. I'm a firm believer in getting LA to 100% renewables. I have been pushing for the past decade to get us there. And for me, it felt natural to say, well, if I'm really gonna be about supporting people's health, bringing more green jobs to this city, I can't be taking money from other companies that are doing exactly the opposite.
So you talk a lot about how we can support environmental rights, environmental justice. Do you agree with LA Mayor Eric Garcetti's Green New Deal?
In order for us to be the city that we want to see, that leads this country on environmental justice, environmental issues, climate justice, climate issues, we need to be really bold about that. And I think that this plan, even though has good intentions and has good metrics and has good, there's a lot of exciting stuff about water, for example, water recycling and such. I think it falls short when it comes to energy. The Green New Deal is a very inspirational, very high bar goal, and policy, setting policies. And I think that there is nothing stopping Los Angeles from doing that other than the political will to do it.
Yeah, because there has been some backlash, to the LA Green New Deal, and even the Sunrise Movement has said that it doesn't go far enough. And some people have even said that it's too car-centric and it doesn't address affordable housing. What would you say to someone who maybe believes that?
We can't address environmental issues or climate justice issues without addressing everything else. This is not something that climate change is not something that we think about in a silo. This is something that has to be the umbrella of everything that we do. So just like we try to bring more electrical vehicles to Los Angeles, we also need more affordable housing so that the people that live here and work here can stay and can walk to work or bike to work or take the bus to work instead of driving 50 miles one way and the next to get to work. So this is what Los Angeles is experiencing. This is what my district is experiencing right now. When I was a commissioner at LADWP, I really pushed the department for solar for renters, for example. 60% of the city are renters. We cannot afford to buy a home. So for me it was important, how do we bring them renewables to these scenarios that are not comfortable or that we don't really think about, because traditionally we have thought about solar. What do you think about solar? It's a rooftop, somebody's got a roof, somebody's got a home. But what about the people that live in multi-family homes or buildings? They also deserve, in fact, they should be the first ones.
And you've talked a lot about, your beliefs for environmental justice. What are some actions that you've taken to mitigate the environmental crisis in Los Angeles?
One of my most proud places or actions that I have taken was to help retire 3 gas plants in Los Angeles. Scattergood, Hines, and Harbor. Scattergood being in El Segundo community, just less than a mile from a park, from a school, just feet away from people's homes.
How did you do that? That's my question. How?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So three gas plants, and this is something that I've been following, of course, as an organizer on this space, on the environmental justice, environmental space for so long. You kind of know, you're like, how can this happen? How can this gas plant be right here? And you drive to the port and you're like, how can this gas plant be right here? And then you look around and you see people's homes and people walking and you think like, don't people know that this is really bad for their health? We have other sources of energy that are reliable, that are cost effective, and that pollute less our communities.
I also wanted to get some insight about your perspective of being born and raised in Colombia. How has that shaped your perspective?
Being an immigrant has shaped my career in such incredible way. I mean, the beginning of my career was fighting for immigrant rights, fighting for those that were in the shadows, fighting for students like me that didn't have a clear path to citizenship. And that, that it's not just Latinos. I mean, I'm Afro-Latina, so it's kind of easy for people to point, oh, of course, you're from Colombia, like, of course. But like, the amount of African descent people, like from the continent of Africa, that they come here. Like, I mean, here in my district, I have one of the largest Ethiopian communities in California.
And you moved to the United States to escape the violence and bloodshed from the war on drugs, drug cartels. If you feel comfortable, could you describe the conditions that you experienced and what should people in the United States know or be aware of?
Drugs and cartels will always exist as long as there is demand for it. So, and the highest drug user in the world is the United States.